speaking to you, brother. I got to ask you, even though we're going to be talking about something that's very cool, that is almost explains why I'm wearing this. And I don't know if you noticed this, but
Oh, that's
wearing
awesome.
this.
That is a great juxtaposition. That's
Uh,
awesome. I love
oh,
that.
okay, there's reasons behind that, but I want to ask you first, how has your 2024 been so far?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. 2024 has been pretty good so far. It's been a year of lots of transitions. I've recently transitioned from Toronto to Vancouver. I'm still a bit back and forth between both cities. Like I was just in Toronto yesterday and back now in Vancouver. Um, so yeah, it's been a year of transition and growth, and it's started off very exciting so far with the release of this film and some news on some other projects as well too. So yeah, so it's been good, man. How's your 2024 been? Let's make this conversational.
You know what? So far, so good. It's been a sort of a slow pace, but it's starting to pick up. So not gonna complain. And one of the reasons why it's been keeping busy is because of work that you do and what we're going to
Mhm.
talk about, because it
Absolutely.
has to do with something that I like to call every person's crown. And I love the fact that what we're going to talk about, you've taken it in and your hosts have taken it in a completely different aspect of what we've seen in the past on
Mhm.
screen. What is this special called and what is it about exactly? Because I am correct when I say it's everybody's crown.
Absolutely. So the special is called Hairy Tales, um, and essentially it explores what hair is. Why do we have hair? What is it made out of, and can we change our destiny essentially? And it all started with our lead director and producer Leora Eisen. Started with a conversation that she had with our one of our hosts, Anthony, where Anthony was he was worried about losing hair at a young age, and because like it runs in the family a little bit. So he was like, man, like can I do anything about this? So that sparked the idea for Leora, and here we are, like over a year later since that since the idea was sparked, with this incredible documentary.
I mean, this is, I want people to understand this isn't about hair extensions. This isn't about clips or anything like that. You guys really go into the dynamics, the history, the what makes us and why our hair is the way it is, from the beginning of life to where we are today and where we are from and what parts of the world. Like you guys really go into the aspect. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, it was really fascinating to uncover that research, about like even because as we dug into the science of it, and in talking to Dr. Tina Lisesi, out of California, and she studies the coiliness of hair and measuring the coiliness of hair, and she does that, being that she's biracial, half Nigerian, half Dutch, and she's like, nobody studies my type of hair, so she got to like figuring out how to image it, how to study it, and has done extensive research talking about the thermal regulation of hair, and talking about how people from hotter places of the world historically and genetically tend to have curly and coily hair because it releases heat better, while on the opposite end, people who generally come from colder parts of the world, historically and genealogically, have straight hair, and that is because the function of straight hair keeps heat locked in as they're in colder climates. So just uncovering, different research and different scientific facts like that was just super exciting, with this film, and even just learning that the strongest type of hair is straight hair, which I would have never thought of, and like the film presents that a 6-year-old child of East Asian ancestry has the strongest hair in the world, right? And so that's all of that is just really fascinating research to uncover, And so hopefully the audience enjoys that as well too.
Probably explains why all those weaves are coming from there. So
You're not lying though. You're not lying, right? You're not lying.
we also get a surprise because there's a certain person who is part of this, and he was somebody who just recently retired from CBC, who was on for many, many years. He's probably considered like the godfather of Canadian science. Who is that? Because he talks about his own journey as well.
Absolutely. And who you're talking about there is David Suzuki, the OG, the Nature of Things OG. And yeah, he makes an appearance in the show with his daughter, our other co-host, Sarika. And they're just talking about their hair back and forth. And it's really interesting because David says, because he has quite thick, curly hair, and he's like, he doesn't know where that comes from because nobody else in his family really has that texture of hair, which I actually found, me personally, I found really fascinating. I wasn't on that scene, so I didn't get a chance to ask him this, but I found that really fascinating because I've been to Japan before back in 2010, and when I was there, I actually noticed that a lot of Japanese people, when you compare them to Korean or Chinese people that have similar hair, I found that a lot of Japanese people in Japan, in Tokyo anyways, they tend to have thicker hair. It was something that I noticed. And I don't know if it's because specifically in Japan, maybe there's some ethnic mix-up that is existing there that is more prevalent there than surrounding parts. Um, but I did notice that people from Japan, their hair does look thicker than other parts of Asia in and around that area. So for me, seeing David Suzuki with thicker and curly hair, that actually doesn't surprise me personally. What does surprise me about that is that he's the only person in his family that has that. So that's interesting to know.
Does this help break maybe taboos in some ways? Because I always found this funny, and I know you guys don't go into depth of this, but it's like people with straight hair want to have curly hair and perm their hair. People with hair like we have want to straighten it, and like, does it help break that? Maybe taboo isn't the right thing, but maybe our misunderstanding of our own hair.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that it gives people a greater understanding of their hair, and it allows for people to be more accepting of the hair that they have or maybe don't have. Um, you know, uh, I think I think it's just one of those things. Like in society, we generally strive after what we don't have. So
Yes.
I think it's a little bit more related to that. But yeah, like hopefully after people have the chance to watch this documentary, they can really understand why their hair is doing certain things or why it's not doing certain things, and then as well to learn to be accepting of what their hair is doing or what it's not doing, or just kind of how they show up in the world.
I don't want to take too much, like let people know too much of what's going on with this. But one thing that did surprise me, I never thought of, hair versus fur. What's the difference?
You know what? There's no difference. It's essentially the same thing. There's no difference between hair versus fur. It's just what's fascinating about us, being that we are bipedal mammals and bipedal apes, is we are the only ones who have hair primarily just on the top of our hair, while all other mammals or most other mammals, land mammals um, are fully covered in fur. And so that's something that still is kind of like being uncovered. And there's theories. We explore those theories in the film. But yeah, that's something that's curious about, like, what is it about us, human nature, where we only kept hair generally on top of our head and we don't have more hair all over our bodies.
But then again, certain points, certain places in the world, you have like, say, for example, oh, I can't think of his name. He's gonna kill me. Indian comedian, Indian Canadian,
Russell
Russell
Peters?
Peters
Yeah.
always talks about India and how Indians could be losing their hair on top, but they're covered with hair with the rest of their bodies. And again, it depends on what part of the world that you live in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, that's a really interesting thing as well too, because like it is that. And sometimes you as you age, you get hairier in your body, and
Your
then you lose
ears.
more off your yeah, your ears, your nose. Like I find myself having to tweeze my nose more as I age. So yeah, no, it is a really fascination, really interesting fascination with this. We don't explore that part of it too much in the film, but it's definitely something to learn more in the future and uncover in the future and see if we can have like some follow-up, maybe short digital content or something around that.
There is one thing you guys did not do. I was a little disappointed about in
Mm,
teaching people not to come up and touch other people's hair. Just keep your hands off. It's my crown. Don't
yeah.
need you touching it. That's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely right about that. And but that only happens to us though, man. Like what is it about us? What is it about our people? Like the other day, I was in a store, I was in Shoppers, and like I was kind of completely caught off guard because just some woman in line and I'm walking by and she's just like, "Oh, I love your hair," and goes to touch it. I'm just like, "Yo, don't touch my hair, woman! Like, I don't know you from nowhere. Like, you know what I mean?" And I'm like, "What the?" And it actually sat with me like kind of bad for the rest of the day. And I was like, "Yo, who like what the hell? Like, who is this woman thinking that she just go around touching people's hair like that?" And I don't know her from nowhere. You know what I mean? So no, you're definitely right, and it only happens to us. You know what I mean?
It does happen to us, and I had the same experience about maybe 2 months ago, and sort of like the same expression too. But with this though, and you kind of answered it before, but I'm going to go back and answer it again as we wrap this up. What is it that you want folks who get a chance to see this, because it's also on CBC and it's also on CBC Gem, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they can watch it on Gem over and over and over again. What do you hope they get from this?
Yeah, so I mean the biggest takeaway is first we want people to be entertained while understanding what hair is and why their hair once again as I mentioned why their hair is either doing certain things or not doing certain things that they may desire. And overall it's allowing people to come to acceptance with what they have, and not just only acceptance because it sounds like kind of like a relegation of emotion, but to really embrace and really enjoy what they have. And different, and no matter what that looks like, and the fact that this is just like it's not the most important thing. It's not the most important thing. Even I made a funny post not too long ago where it's like my hairline used to be like here, and like it's gone back a little bit. It's like it's going opposite of gravity. So you know what I mean? And it's just one of those things of just embracing it. So yeah, I hope people enjoy the film, and I hope people come out with a much more positive feeling and emotions around the hair that they have, and just the hair that they see around them.
I agree. Like I said, great perspective on this. Congratulations. And I know folks are really going to enjoy this. Before we wrap it up, any other projects coming up soon that we can look forward to?
Yeah, so I have a couple of projects in development. They're at very early stages that I can't speak on just yet. But what people can do is I have an article on CBC about my personal hair journey. I've been growing my locks for 13 years, so um, I wrote a whole article about my hair journey and whatnot, and like kind of the awkward stages of hair because in the last 21 years I've only had one full haircut. So that article's been making its rounds around CBC. So if you just search my name, Chris Strikes, on the CBC main, CBC.ca main page, that article will come up. So hopefully people can check that out and enjoy that article.
Looking forward to it. I think mine was, gosh, maybe about uh 15, 16 years before I finally had my first haircut. Also, it was a long time, but now
Mhm.
I'm like, every, you know, couple of weeks. Anyways, thank you so much. Congratulations on this. I'm looking forward to all the other projects you'll be doing in the future.
Thank you, Rudy, and hopefully we can speak again soon when some new stuff's coming.